Hi greedy 3Ders, welcome to today's episode. Today we're going to be making a security droid from Star Wars. You may remember him in Rogue One and later on in Andor the TV series. This is K-2SO, well it's the head of a security droid. I'm going to be showing you where I got this from, how I printed it and how I put him all together and painted him. If you're interested, stay tuned.
K2.
Charming.
He tends to say whatever comes into his circuits. It's a byproduct of the reprogram.
Why does she get a blaster and I don't?
Now in my last video I made a B-series battle droid, but I need to give him a little friend. So today I've headed over to Droid Division over on Etsy and I'm going to buy this K-2SO battle droid head. And this is what we're going to be making today to give the B1 a little bit of company. I'm using some Sunlu engineering filaments for this. Now, they very kindly sent me these filaments to play with, and I'm going to be using their PC ABS and their Easy PA for this build. Starting off with the PC ABS. Now, I'm printing on my Centauri Carbon, and it's good to see that the Elegoo has built-in profiles. I'm using generic ABS for this build and everything is going so far to plan, but we never know until we take it out of the Centauri Carbon. The good thing about this machine is it's got a closed environment, so you can print with more fanciful of the materials such as this ABS, whereas before trying to do it on other printers that are open to the elements, I just had a nightmare with it. First piece done, looking good. Let's crack on with everything else. Now of course nothing goes to perfect plan. You know what it's like printing when you're printing helmets and you've got to get it supported. I've used some support fins on there, but I'm going to have to get rid of all of the marks on there. Time out, time out, time out. I know what you're all saying. Why are you printing your helmet that way and why are you using fins? I know you can print your helmet that way, and I also know that you don't really need supports in this bit if your printer will tolerate the curvature on the top. I know that. Trust me, I genuinely know that. The reason I tried it this way was there was a file there orientating it this way. I'd never tried it that way before and I thought, what are these fin things? So I tried it. I won't be doing it again. Let me know which way you orientate your helmets. Do you do it the way that I do it, which is that way, not that way, or do you do it a different way? I'd be interested to know. Right, back to the video. But we can fix this easy and lots of work to be done, of course. I'm going to use a bit of super glue first just to strengthen that gap. And I'm also going to use just a little bit of activator to speed up the process. That's just to give it a little bit of stability. Then I'm going to move on to some fun Cricol. This is curing putty, UV curing putty. And I'm going to splodge this into that crack. I'm going to put it in there as far as I can get it in there. In a thin layer, first of all. Smear it all down, doing of course both sides. Now the good thing with this putty is you don't have to wait hours and hours or days for it to dry, because all you need is a UV light and about 10 minutes. Give it a good old blast each side until that UV putty is absolutely rock solid, and that has filled that gap, it's strengthened that gap. All is good. I'm going to remove the support fin. There is a version without the support fin, but I do like these support fins because they hold the helmet really still when you're doing all your printing on it. And then I'm going to take my trusty foot sander and I am going to start the working process of smoothing this battle security droid. This took me hours, well probably about an hour and a half to be absolutely fair to start with. I've gave all the bits where the supports were, where the cured UV putty was, gave it a blast all the way across. I really enjoy using my foot sander. If you haven't got one, I'll put a link in the description where you can get one, but it doesn't half make your life easy when you're sanding these helmets down, and sanding them you really need to if you want a nice finish. If you're wondering how to change the pads on it, you just peel it off, give it a wipe and then stick the next pad on. I think they're 60 grit pads and that's pretty much all you can get for it. But to be fair, at this stage you're doing the rough work, so you want that. And with this sander it came with about 60 pads, so I've got loads. Now I'm going to use this this other pad that I got from Etsy, just with a 60 grit paper on as well, just so I've got a different angle really and I can get a bit more strength on it. And then I'm going to take a little bit of wood filler and just smear it across the top. The sanding has done the job, but there are some little gaps and marks and lines and pits in it that I just need to get rid of. And this wood filler is going to do the job. I'm literally just going to put it on, smooth it around with my finger till it's all the way across. I'm also going to go over again where I put the UV putty, just so I can make that a little bit smoother on the surface too. Didn't really need to do that, but since it was in my hand, I decided to do it. Now I'm going to move on to some of their easy PA filament for the next sections, and again the Centura Carbon has a built-in generic PA profile which I'm going to be using, and the next print is going to be underway, and this one's going to be the front part of the of his face, some kind of chin section, printing beautifully as we speak. Now I know printing in nylon can be a little bit of a nightmare. I followed all the directions for the temperatures etc, but had a complete failure. Not only did I have a failure, it took me 2.5 hours to clean the extruder and the hot end out. So back to ABS, and that printed wonderfully. Now that everything, the helmet especially, has had a chance to dry all the filler, I went back to sanding everything with a 60 grit foot sander followed by a 180 grit paper, and that did pretty much a good job, or it looked like it did on the surface anyway. You can never tell till you get filler primer on your parts to see if or what you have missed, and of course that is what I did next, because I just couldn't tell by eye if I'd missed anything, and the filler primer revealed all. It's the high coat filler primer, the yellow one, and just putting it on there you can already see there's parts I've missed, there's cracks I've missed, there's bits and pieces. Oh dear me. And that is the wonder and the joy and the frustration of 3D printing and the revealing of the primer. Just look at that. I never spotted that before. What am I like? That's okay though, no real dramas, because we're going to go back to the drawing board, so to speak. So more filler all over the goddamn thing, and I'm going to let that dry, resand it, and the whole process of primering will begin once again.
Congratulations, you are being rescued. Please do not resist.
So resanded with 180 grit paper, and you can see it's starting to look an awful lot better. I've given it another coat, of course, of filler primer. There are still a few little layer lines in there, so it needs a little bit more work, but I think this is looking a darn sight better on round 2. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit of 400 grit, and I'm going to just go over it again with that all the way across. When you're making your own droids or you're making your own helmets, it is entirely up to you how far you take this. You can, if you want to, sand them, refill prime them, then wet sand them and sand again and use higher and higher grits. You can go to town on them. I'm not going to do that. This is a security droid that's in a bit of action, so I don't mind the odd little blemish on their head there. I really don't mind that at all. But it's down to personal choice. So if you see a few marks on there when it's finished, that's okay with me. I'm all right with that. You can go as far as you want on yours. Make sure you get all that dust off it. I used a hairdryer on cold as well, just to blow the last bits off, and I'm using Rust-Oleum gunmetal, and the secret with this stuff is a really good shake and put on little bits of a coat, and 30 centimeters away at least. Get it all over there and then just leave it to dry and give it another quick coat and it's done. One of the things I love about Droid Division is they have some awesome assembly instructions included with the droids, and this is no different when we look at the neck piece, which was made up of 4 different parts and a tube. I thought I had the right size tube, but turns out it didn't fit. But don't worry, there is one you can print in with the files, and it's simply a case of a little bit of super glue lining up the little divots so they all match together. Follow the instructions, and within literally 5 minutes the whole thing was glued together and done perfectly, and that was one other job all done dusted. Again, just following those assembly instructions, I'm going to put the bottom parts together. It comes with little nubbins that you can put in that helps you connect the parts together. I'm using some clamps as well, and some super glue and some activator to make sure that everything is pushed into the right position. And once I've done that, back to that Rust-Oleum colour. And while that base piece is drying, I'm going to move on to the neck piece and just give that a blast all the way across with this Rust-Oleum. One thing I like about this Rust-Oleum paint is it's got little flecks of metallic in it that you can just see floating around in the air. The data port at the back, this was an optional piece, and I decided to do this because well, you'll see why later. And there's another part of his face which is a different colour. I'm using some chrome for that. This is like the front grille on him, so that's had a little bit of a chrome all the way across. This stuff again is wonderful. Once that's dried, again following all the instructions, they're there for you. I'm just going to fit the whole thing together. I'm using super glue with activator, but I've got to be honest, everything just clunked together really lovely, really well. There's a few little parts there like almost little microphone bits. I don't know what they are really, but just glue them into place. There's a front plate as well. It's easy, and the thing I like with these parts as well from Droid factory is they're just made so well, and everything just clips together wonderfully. It's simple, it's easy. They take away the hard work from it. Now this file was 18 quid, so you know it's not cheap, but in the same token you are paying for their expertise. You're also paying for the fact that everything is sliced to perfection, and you're paying for the fact that it's got some screen accuracy as well. I'm just adding on the last few bits here to the antenna bit with again some super glue and some activator. And there's also a little I don't know what it is really, it's a little red bit on the side there. You can tell me what it is in the comments. That's been stuck on, that's glued on, and he's coming along nicely, don't you agree? I think he's looking really lovely. Now that is done, we obviously need to get the head on to the neck. So what I'm going to do next is I've got the base here, and I'm just going to give that a little touch up with some paint. Now I've done a lazy approach here. I've just put it on my rotating table, and I've put a bit of silver on it, and I'm just going around that outside edge with silvers. The reference pictures do show that. Now some of the reference pictures as well make him look darker. So, there was lots of different colours as to what he was, but I decided on this Rust-Oleum colour, this gunmetal. If you want to paint him black, I absolutely get that as well. He is quite a dark colour. I've stuck him onto the base. I haven't stuck the neck into the base, but I've stuck the head onto the neck so it doesn't move anywhere. And I've just used, yeah, there's a shock, a little bit of super glue and some activator to do that. The data port I'm not going to glue in place. I'm just going to place it in, and he is ready for the next step, and we're nearly done now really. The eyes were printed in two parts, a white base piece and a crisscrossy black piece, which are glued together, and they will add an effect later that I will show you. But you can see already there's a bit of variation in the colour, a little bit of super glue in there, and I'm going to make sure that I place these eyes in a vertical position on each of his eyes. Try to make sure you get this bit right. You don't want him to look Google-eyed. They fit into the groove at the back of the eyes just perfectly, and when you're happy with where they are and when you are ecstatic with their looking of their verticalness, yep, give it a quick blast and that glue will set pretty darn instantly. Same again on his t'other eye, and his eyes are in. Now I didn't paint the eyes black or paint little circles around the eyes. That is an option to do it if you want to. I didn't think I needed to, and the reason for that was I got one of these really bright lights. This is a little battery controlled light with a little on-off remote. As you can see, it's got some great control with it. You can change the colour of it, the intensity of it. It just takes 3 batteries, and I've glued that to the data port, and all I'm going to do with that then of course is just pop that inside the head. And yeah, you've guessed it, we're going to get some light through his eyes. So once that is in there, again, I'm not going to glue it in just in case I ever want to take it out. I'm going to pop the head on top of it there, just temporarily, just so you can have a look at what it actually looks like. And I was absolutely pleasantly surprised with how the eyes looked when it was turned on. I didn't know if you'd see the circles very well, but let's just turn those lights on and you can have a look at what you see. And a quick flick on the old remote. K-2SO comes to life. Absolutely beautiful and easy. No fancy wiring, no messing around with soldering. It's just one of those little lights, a couple of batteries, a remote that comes with it. Bob's your uncle. Look at that, you can even change the colour if you so wish. I don't know if you want to or not, but I'm not quite sure what the reference colour pictures are, but let's have a bit of a better look at him.
Well, finally. Wait, stop! The rebels. They went over there.
Okay, what's going on out there?
There's one. Ah, well.
So I hope you enjoyed that Greedy 3D, as I really enjoyed making the battle droid last week and now the security droid this week. I would love to make a full-size droid, but I've just got nowhere on earth I can think of where I could put one. There's just no room in the Greedy 3D man cave. If you've got a full-size droid somewhere, send me a couple of pictures because I'd love to have a look. And also, what droid should I do next? I've done the battle droid, done the security droid. Which one shall I do next? I don't want to do C-3PO or R2-D2. I want to do something a little bit less obvious in the Star Wars universe. So give me a few ideas of what you think I should do next. If you like what you've seen today, please subscribe to the channel. Think about joining the Greedy 3D Patreon, and thank you to my patrons. If you want to offer me any advice on doing this, if you want to tell me what you think about it, what I should have done differently, then please, constructive criticism is always welcome. Please leave me a comment below in the little space where YouTube lets you leave a comment. Hope you've enjoyed today. I've really enjoyed making this droid. I'm finding a little niche here. I love it. So let me know what you think, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Greedy 3D.